We do have some new people this semester, and people are fairly interested in knowing like how your life took you to astronomy and what got you into
Oh,
it. So that is going to be our first question. So take it away.
okay. So how did I get into astronomy?
Mhm.
Via cattails. Um, so, I don't really remember. I just have always been interested in the sky ever since I was like conscious.
Mhm.
Um, Ever since I was very young. And my parents were actually, they were pretty great about um, observing what I was interested in. They wouldn't say anything one way or another unless I was about to blow something up um, or hurt somebody.
Yeah.
um, Pardon the cat tail.
No, it's okay. I love it.
He demands attention whenever we are not paying attention to him,
Mhm.
um, especially when it involves computers. But anyway, they were very good at observing what I was interested in, what I did as fun and hobbies and whatnot. Um, and one year for Christmas, they bought me a little Sears refractor telescope.
Oh,
Um, it had a diameter of 50 millimeters, so 2 inches ish. Um, and the optics actually were pretty good. Later, much later, I was surprised at how good this little acrobat was. Um, but back then, you could buy telescopes at department stores like Sears and J.C. Penney's and all those old companies that are now long gone.
yeah.
Um, and they invariably were, um, I guess, hobbled is the right word. Despite having a really good lens, this telescope um, suffered from marketing people. And so they equipped it with a very high power eyepiece, which was ridiculous. Because it's this tiny little 2 inch telescope and 600 power. Yeah, no. 80
Oh.
would be more appropriate.
Yeah.
So they had a high power and a low power eyepiece. The low power eyepiece was, I forget the magnification, but it was far too high. So it was very frustrating because it came on an Altaz mount, um, which is not what the sky does, because the Earth rotates. So that was inconvenient from the get-go. And then the tripod was this rickety wooden thing, which the slightest touch it would vibrate for many tens of seconds. It was awful.
Whoa.
It was awful. Um, but despite all that, I tried and tried and tried. At the time, we lived in the upper desert east of LA, so the skies were just crystal clear because it's very
Wow.
dry. It's desert.
Yeah.
Um, Kind of like Flagstaff,
Mhm.
except fewer trees. Um, and it just was, I mean, the skies there were just beautiful, very dark and very clear air. So good transparency. And it was very frustrating for me as a little 8-year-old kid who didn't know what he was doing, and the internet did not exist. Um,
Yeah.
so where do you go for advice? I
The
mean, Dad,
library,
yeah, the library. Um,
I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
at 8 years old, I didn't.
8. Yeah.
I didn't think of the library. At least I don't remember thinking of it. So I didn't have anything to go
Of
on.
course.
And my
Yeah.
dad was an aerospace engineer who knew nothing about astronomy or telescopes. So, he tried, but
Yeah.
what can you do?
Hmm.
Um, so I almost gave up, and I got so frustrated. I finally one night said to myself that this is it. If I don't find something tonight, that's it. I am dumping this, basically.
Yeah.
Um, so I was going to give up. And so I swung around and managed by some miracle to get a bright star into the field of view.
Hmm.
Um, that was a rare event.
Wow.
And it was not a star. I think I might have told this story the first time.
I don't think so actually, because I
No?
rewatched the episode today.
Oh, okay. Good for you. um, so it was not a star, it was Saturn. And Saturn is a planet. I mean, the planets are good for high magnification if the atmosphere doesn't defeat you. And that night happened to be a good enough night. I could see the rings very clearly and the gap
Whoa.
between the rings and the planet and some moons. Although I didn't know that's what they were. That's what they were. Uh,
Wow. Oh my God.
so I was just completely mesmerized, blown away, flabbergasted. I mean, just all the superlatives.
Yeah.
And boy, that did it. It was astronomy from
Mhm.
then on.
Wow.
Um,
I
whether I
love
knew it
that.
or not, I had no idea what I was going to be when I grew up.
Right.
Um, and that persisted through until my junior year of college when they forced me to take a major. Um,
Yeah.
so, yeah, word of advice to those who are freshmen and sophomores, don't give in to the pressure.
Yeah.
You
You're
don't
pressured
have
to
to
choose, but
yeah, you don't
it's okay.
have to declare a major early. That's just it's a mistake to narrow your view because there's a lot of knowledge that you need to learn, whatever your major is, and that
Yeah.
means a lot of classes specific to your major, which means not a lot of room else for electives.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's you know it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But it really is a good idea to resist as long as possible,
Yeah.
and find out whatever the drop dead date is. Like you have to declare a major by such and so date. That varies by college and school within the college. And just have that in mind. It's like, well, okay, there's no rush here. I can take electives and follow my nose because that's the best thing to do. Um, so anyway, my nose went in college to astronomy and mathematics and
Hmm.
physics. And my best friend at the time, he was a dual math and astronomy major. So I got to look at what the mathematical world was like in academia
Yeah.
through him, and I eventually decided, yeah, that's not for me. I mean, he decided it too. It was not for him as
Mm-hmm.
well. So he stuck with astronomy, although he still minored in math. Um, I mean, he stuck it out, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure why, but he did. Um,
Sunk cost fallacy, perhaps.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
May have been pressure
Yeah. There's a lot
from
that goes
outside.
into it. Yeah.
His parents seemed really nice, so
Yeah.
I don't, but
It's
who
good.
knows? Could have been pressure there too.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
anyway, so math dropped out first, and then it was physics and astronomy. Physics and astronomy. Oh, wait, music. I love music,
Mm,
so always have. And
mm.
so physics, astronomy, music. Okay. So I spent a year kind of waffling back and forth and
Yeah.
back and forth, and I finally figured out that I'm not good enough to go into music as a profession.
Mm,
Or at least that was my assessment at the time.
mm.
Um, Probably might have been a mistake. Who knows? Um, the assessment was probably mistaken because when
Yeah.
you're young, you can do anything because you're smart, you've got the talents, and all it takes is a lot of learning and practice and dedication. And
Spongy brain. Yeah.
yeah, anybody can do that.
Yeah.
Anybody can work hard.
Hmm.
Um, you just have to decide what you're going to work hard at. But
Yeah.
anyway, so music dropped out after math dropped out, and then it was physics, astronomy, physics, astronomy. I never really decided. Although I did get an astronomy degree, um, there was no difference. It was physics with an astronomy bent,
Mm.
basically, because I loved my physics classes, every single one of them. Um, it was grand fun. So physics slash astronomy was it for me, still is. Um, and that was kind of all she wrote. And I went to a junior college my first year and a half because that's what I could afford
Yeah.
and what my family could afford. Um, and I got lucky, and this junior college in Southern California, I think it's now matriculated to being part of the State University of California system, Cal State. Um, but at the time, it was a junior college. Thank you. Ah, coffee infusion.
Was that Stacy? Hello, Stacy. Hi.
She says hi. She waved hi.
Okay.
So, yeah, so junior college, I lucked out. There was a fantastic physics teacher there,
That's
Mr.
good.
Woods, and he had this great sense of humor. He was a really funny guy, but very reserved and quiet. But boy, his sense of humor was crazy. So we were always doing funny stuff in the labs. Uh, anyway, he was very good. I had a good astronomy teacher, and very good math teachers. So I totally lucked out. Um, and here's maybe a clue for somebody out there that might be listening. In high school, a friend and I were a little bored because we ran out of math classes to take. At the time, education in Southern California was not the greatest. Wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the greatest. Um, so we decided to kind of skip classes and go take classes at the junior college. And so we took the math series. Um,
Wow.
so I was a semester ahead
Hmm.
in math from the usual, the calculus sequence. Is it still 3 semesters for you
There's
guys?
there's differences. I mean, I know that at least for my major, it's 4 semesters of calc, but for data
Okay.
science. But I think it
So,
goes deeper for a lot of people take calc 3, so that would be 6 semesters.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um, so the normal sequence then, at least in that environment, was 3 semesters of calculus and 3 semesters of lower division physics simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And the physics and the math were synchronized so that in physics you were using the math that you were learning,
Yeah.
which made for some very high tension students because we just everybody always felt like we didn't know enough math to do this physics problem. And
Yeah.
so how do we it just felt impossible. But I was a semester ahead, and
There you go.
that was
Invaluable.
that was absolutely invaluable. That was one of the best things I ever did, even though that wasn't my intent. But it wound up being an excellent choice. Get ahead on the math if you can. Most people are not in a position to do that, but if you can, definitely get a jump start on the calculus before you start the physics sequence. You will thank your lucky stars for the entire rest of your life. Um, So I was always ahead, and everybody thought I was some kind of genius, all my classmates, because I knew how to do stuff that they didn't. But a month and a half later, they got it in their math class, so then they knew how to do it.
Yeah,
But at the time, when it came to test time,
right.
everybody was asking me a lot of questions
I bet.
all the time. Anyway, so that was that. Then after junior college, this friend and I, we he was sitting around in his bedroom one evening, and for some reason, he had airline tickets, just information, brochures from various airlines, fly us to wherever, and some discounts. Um, his dad was some kind of diplomat kind of a person that traveled a lot. So he was always having that stuff. And there was a half off deal to go to Australia. So he looked at me and said, "Hey, you want to go?"
That's so awesome.
What? You have to understand, I am very introverted.
Mhm.
So that was just a beyond outlandish idea as far as um, my experience goes at the time. And I just thought, just flitted through my head. Yes, I just said yes.
Oh, that's
Let's do
great.
it.
Yeah.
So we packed up our bicycles and rode our bikes for 3 months in Australia, in
I
the east
love
coast of
it.
Australia,
Love it.
on a lark. It was literally just a lark.
Really cool.
Hey, that's
Really
cool.
awesome.
You want to do it? Sure, let's do it. Our respective families just about had heart attacks, all of them.
Yeah.
Um, my dad thought it was a good idea, but he was very nervous about it. And mom was just like, no, no, don't do this. This is a terrible idea. But they let me do it anyway.
Yeah.
And so we did. That was fun. So I missed a semester of the 4 years. So when I came back, now both of us could have I mean, we left in the middle of the semester, like I think it was March. Um, and um, my physics teacher told me that, well, your grades are good enough. You can pass the class anyway.
Mm.
I mean, you can just stop coming and not do any homework or tests or anything, and you will still pass class. And I
Nice.
declined the offer,
Yeah.
which was a good thing. I was so clueless back then. It is just unbelievable how clueless I was and
I'm glad
naive.
to hear you say that because, as a student, and my peers know this, like whenever we feel like we don't know anything or we make mistakes that we just cringe at or we are so worried about the future, we can just know that a very accomplished astronomer looks back and says that he was clueless back when he was our age, so it's
Yeah,
gonna be okay.
I think most of us feel clueless
Yeah.
when we are your age,
Hmm.
especially high school, transitioning into college, and kind of mostly all the way through college. You just feel like you're missing something. Everybody else seems to know what is happening
Yep. Yep.
on whatever the subject is, and you don't. And it's like, did I miss something somewhere? Was I supposed to take a class? I mean, where did you learn this stuff? Oh, my parents. Of course.
Or just
Uh,
stuff about life too, like the classroom of
yeah,
life,
or
which is
they
so
and
weird.
everybody has a very different
So weird. Yeah.
path and experiences that go with that path by the time you meet in college.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, everybody you know is going to know stuff that you don't. And it goes the other way too,
Mhm.
although it doesn't feel like it.
Right.
Um, but anyway, that was college. When we got back, I went to the state school, so San Diego State
Mhm.
in California, because tuition, um, y'all are gonna cry. Tuition back then, um, I don't remember what it was, but I very well remember when they raised the tuition per semester to $80. We just about all of us, the entire school, had a shit fit. because they raised tuition so much. I mean, it was like from $60 to $80 or
I'm gonna
something
lose
like
my
that.
mind.
Yes. I was not kidding when you I said you all are
I
gonna
wasn't expecting it to be that
it
to
was
be that
astonishing.
intense. Oh
Yeah, it was amazing.
my wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
the University of California system, that was a few $100s.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, big bucks. Um, yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yep.
Um, and I could actually tutor my fellow classmates. The tutoring program at San Diego State, they paid some of us to tutor others of us
Mm-hmm.
um, in math and physics and astronomy. And I loved doing that. That was the
Great.
grandest time. As one of the best jobs I ever had.
Discovering your mentorship prowess.
I Yeah, it's what it wound up being.
Yeah.
It was fun. I
Yeah.
mean, as you know, solving problems together is just plain fun.
Really
Uh,
cool. Yeah.
so that working like as like half time, 20 hours a week, that was enough to rent a room, rent an apartment with a friend, actually several friends, um, and go to school and pay for books. Uh, I won't make you cry again at
The tears are coming.
how relatively compared to today, inexpensive textbooks were back then. I mean, we're talking like 15, 20, $25. Um,
Lovely.
tops.
Mm.
I mean, and you could get them used for, $5.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just word of advice to anybody who hasn't done this. If a professor has a book on the, class list, I just like look it up on Amazon to see the cheapest possible like
Yeah,
price instead of
and
instead of getting it from the bookstore because it's going to be way cheaper, I
right.
assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bookstore has to make a profit, whatever
Yes.
the bookstore is.
Get
And
it used.
university bookstores are very good at ripping you off. At least they used to be. Um,
I'm sure it's a general truism.
yeah. Um, Usually there wasn't any choice because only the university bookstore had the class books. You could find, books from the 50s and the 60s, just really, really old stuff
Hmm.
at the library, both university and your town library. Bookstores were out of the question. Nobody can afford that.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and they aren't going to carry textbooks anyway. The mall bookstore is not going to have textbooks. That's just silly for them to do that.
Hmm.
So the university bookstores, they had you, and they knew it, and they charged accordingly. Even though it was $15 for a brand new textbook, it was 800 pages. um, but that was then. Um, And then after that, and here's where the cluelessness comes in. So I majored in astronomy and loved every minute of it. It was fantastic. Had great teachers. San Diego State used to be, well, in its former life was a teachers' college, and so teaching was still very important to that school. So we had very, very good teachers. So I learned a lot
And
real
good teachers make
fast.
all the difference. I
Yes.
cannot even describe, how much, just how intensely my
Yeah.
teachers have
So
shaped.
if you find that you're hating a subject, you take an elective like anthropology, let's say, because I did
Okay.
this. I
Yeah,
thought, anthropology, that is so
it
cool.
is so
I
cool.
had the world's most struggling between awful and boring teacher. And
Awful.
it was
Awful.
it was it was it was very painful. I
Oh,
hated that class,
yeah.
and
Crap.
I knew I shouldn't let it ruin anthropology for me, but it did for a number of years.
Hmm.
So it definitely steered me away from anthropology, which probably was a good thing anyway. But yeah, so
Yeah.
if you get a really stinker of a teacher, for some class. Switch if you can. Usually can't. Drop that class and take another anthropology class or whatever it is, if you can.
Mhm.
Get a better teacher. Or just decide you're going to learn the stuff on your own despite the teacher,
Yeah.
um, and take whatever grade you get. But just don't try not to let it soil the subject. It was a bad teacher. It was
Right.
not necessarily a bad subject for you.
I know
Um,
that students often they will, maybe think coming out from high school that they're really bad at a subject, and then they take the
mhm.
class in college and they realize, wait a second, I'm good at this and I like this, and it was actually just, a teacher or or
Yep.
model of a class or something that just
Yeah.
did
Or a
not work.
parent or a
Yeah,
sibling or just who knows? I mean, we all
situational.
know what high school was like. I mean, just the
Yeah,
slightest perceived criticism can be devastating,
yeah,
and it almost doesn't matter where it comes from.
yeah.
Um, it's a very sensitive time of life.
Hmm.
Um, so just be aware that that is so, and we all struggle through it. But if you are fascinated by something, follow your nose every single time. You'll never be sorry.
That's the takeaway. That is the takeaway from this, by the way, everybody. This is really
Yes,
important.
that that
Very
is
important.
that is the most important thing I think in life,
Yeah,
among all the other most important things in
I know.
life. But this is up there.
Yeah.
If you are just absolutely captivated, fascinated, cannot not think about something because it's so cool or
Mhm.
exciting or just you know interesting, or wonderful or awe-inspiring, whatever it is. If you find yourself in that situation, don't let anybody dissuade you from following up on it. If it has to be a hobby, that's fine. If it is more classes, that's great. If it winds up being a major eventually, then sure, graduate in that subject. I mean, some of us were lucky enough to stumble into that. But just don't let anybody sour it for you, because
Yeah.
that's the best thing, and one of the best things in life is just having that intellectual fascination and interest and just joy in learning. I
Yeah.
mean, that's where the learning happens, is when you're following your nose. Um,
It's kind of what I mean. It gets you up every morning. Like loving what you're
yeah, you wake up in the
doing.
morning and you think, oh God, I can't wait to get to class
You're like,
because I'm
oh,
gonna learn something cool. You hope. Sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does.
yeah. There are always
But
those.
anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So follow your nose. It's important. And you, you do have to take into account that life is life, and you have to deal with life, and it intrudes and takes away from your fun time. So it's a balance that you have to strike, and everybody's, the place that is your balance is going to be different for every single person. Um,
Especially depending on various circumstances and so
yeah.
many things that we can't control. Yeah.
Yeah, and like definitely don't let another class which you're not terribly fond of, but you do need to pass, or get whatever the grade is you need to get from that class. Don't let your fascinating class take over so that you wind up flunking or having to drop out or something. That can be a temptation for people, and just keep an eye out for that coming down the road so that you can swerve and avoid that, because that is very bad, extremely painful to recover from,
Yeah.
um, at least from what I have seen. And my wife teaches mostly freshmen and sophomores in college, and she sees this all the time. And it's hard. I mean, it really is hard. You have to think hard. The
Yeah.
other big takeaway is you cannot escape working really hard. You're just gonna have to. And it's no fun sometimes, but you just have to.
And then sometimes a lot of the time it's very rewarding and
Yeah, I mean, if you really get into something and then, you come up for air
Oh yeah.
10 hours later and it's 4 a.m. and you realize, oh, shoot. Uh, yeah, you were having a pretty good time
And
working hard.
yeah, I mean, I saw a TED talk, just the kind of defining fun, like what is having fun, and it's like one of the major aspects of it is what's called flow, which is where
Yeah,
you lose track of time. So if you find
yeah.
yourself losing track of time while
Or
doing
if you're in the
something more,
zone.
yeah, then you know that you're actually having fun, like you're actively having fun, and that's
Yeah,
that's so good for you in general. It's just a great part of life.
it
So
is. It is the best thing. I
yeah.
mean, I mean, there are a lot of things that are the best thing, but this is
Mhm.
one of them. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it is a fantastic thing, but do be careful. Get sleep,
Oh,
drink
the sleep,
water,
the
and
sleep
eat
part.
food.
Yeah, I know. Like when you come up for air,
You
actually come up
know,
for air. Yeah.
we all do this, right? Somebody tells us, like, when's the last time you ate? Or you realize yourself, oh my God, I am like almost
Mhm.
fainting, starving.
Mhm.
I'm so hungry. Um, yeah, don't do that.
Well,
So
yeah. I mean, speaking of, the best things that we love to do that literally even take our mind off of basic bodily needs,
yeah.
we do have a question of what do you enjoy most about your work? So if you could choose like a top
Oh man.
like love
Um,
about your work.
okay. Well, let me finish the school thing real quick.
Okay.
So after college, I mentioned that I was naive. I was beyond naive. I didn't know what graduate school was.
Mhm.
It just wasn't, I mean, I heard about it. It's like, oh, am I supposed to go to graduate school now? How do I didn't even think about getting a job. I just figured, well, okay, I guess I go to graduate school. So I applied to, I actually did some homework and looked around and found
Mhm.
the best um, schools for astronomy to be a graduate student and get your PhD. Um, and I got lucky because I ran across a very well done survey that surveyed astronomy PhD students at all of the PhD granting institutions in the continental United States. And they were really good questions. They were questions that prospective students would really like the answers to.
Yeah.
And so that was
That's
absolutely
awesome.
golden.
Hmm.
Then I called up a few, grad students at the time and, just to see what their life was like.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how I chose my schools to apply to. I could afford to apply for four, so I did, and wound up getting into all four, but ended up in Madison, Wisconsin, because the faculty there actually cared about the students,
Oh,
and to
that's a
such an
big one.
extent that they had a policy of it wasn't uber strict, but they tried very hard, all of them, to have a one-to-one teacher student ratio.
Incredible.
Yeah, for graduate students.
Yeah, yeah. Really, really
And
cool.
I mean,
That's
they all taught undergraduate classes that were
right.
ginormous.
Hmm.
Uh, but for graduate students, they really strove to have just one or maybe two students per faculty.
Wow. Yeah.
And that was why I chose them, even though I really didn't care about the interstellar medium, but that was what that faculty was really
Mhm.
good at. Um, but the subject didn't matter so much as the environment, and the
Yeah.
environment was very important to me. I even knew that as an undergraduate. This was crucial for me,
Mm.
and I remember I was at a department get together, astronomy department get together at San Diego State, and I went around asking people, these are my choices. I'm thinking about this, and everybody, all the faculty would point to like UC Santa Cruz. Like, you got to go there,
Mm.
or go to Berkeley. Those were the big names, right? But I just didn't want to. I wanted to go to Wisconsin, and the the faculty that was most adamant about me going to Santa Cruz because he knew people there, and it was a it was one of the best schools, and it was also a good environment. It just wasn't the environment I wanted, and I also wanted to get out of California
Yeah.
really badly. Uh, so, but even though he was adamant that I would be an idiot if I did anything else, his wife just was listening to me,
Yeah.
and she piped up and said, "I think you should go to Madison."
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, like
I was like,
that's great.
"Okay." That was very interesting to
Yeah.
see that clash
Mm,
that is
yeah.
married.
Yeah. Very often
But
present.
she was a very introspective person and a really good observer of human nature, apparently. So I was really impressed with
Yeah,
her.
there are people that can really,
Because
yeah,
her husband was a walking, talking ego machine. I mean, just total opposite.
it's so
It was
interesting.
really, really funny. Anyway,
Huh.
so went to Madison, had an absolute blast.
Well,
You
that's so
think
awesome.
undergraduate is fun. It is. And you think it's the best thing ever. Well, it's the second best thing ever. Graduate school is the best thing ever.
Good. It's good to know, have that on the horizon.
Yes, it is the most fun, and it is also the most exhausting and
Mm,
also the most tiring. You will never be so tired in your life as graduate school, and you will never work so hard in your life as graduate school. And every second of it is worth it and then some. I mean, it's just do it. Get a chance, do it. It is fabulous. And that was that was my path. So I wound up being an astronomer. I got a postdoc with Space Telescope Institute for a year, working on some modeling software for the interstellar medium, because my PhD advisor was a primary on one of the instruments there, and he was actually just stellar atmospheres, but also, I mean, predominantly interstellar medium guy. So I wound up doing a PhD in dynamics. How does that work? Yeah, another interesting story for another time.
mhm.
Um, but so where was I going with this?
You're talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
your
So I had a
postdoc.
postdoc for the toot, um, and that was through him because, and this is what your PhD advisor's job is part of
Yeah.
it is to, go out and beat the bushes and find you jobs after you get your PhD. So consider that when considering an advisor for a PhD. It's very important. I was an idiot. I didn't know anything. Um, and by idiot, I mean super naive. I had no clue that that's what you should be
As
looking
we all
for.
are. Yeah.
Um, but luckily, Art did. uh,
Yeah.
no, his name was Art Code, and he was a student of Chandrasekhar, so hence the stellar atmospheres bit in Chicago. So he had quite the pedigree himself.
Right.
Um, so I did a postdoc for a year, and then I got a soft money job. Not really a postdoc. It was a research position at the Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory. So the Harvard-Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory, and I was on the SAO side, which mimicked federal everything in terms of how they do administration and money and salaries and all that. It's
And
tied to
what is SAO? Sorry, just to.
Smithsonian Astrophysical
Okay.
Observatory.
Okay.
So that is a big name place in Cambridge, Massachusetts. They call themselves the other Cambridge. Um, and it
Yeah.
it has a lot of heavy hitters there. And yeah, I got really lucky. All
Yeah.
my fellow graduate students were intensely jealous of the two of us who found jobs at CFA.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Center for Astrophysics.
Mhm.
It's what CFA is. Everybody calls it CFA for short because nobody likes saying
Center for us.
Harvard-Smithsonian Center for, yeah, it just,
Yeah.
um, so I spent 6 years there working on um, instrumentation for interferometry, optical interferometry done from space. So it was an instrument group there, um, and the head of the group was a general relativity guy. And so
Cool.
he was always looking for tests of general relativity. And so this satellite that we worked on so hard, JPL beat us out, by the way,
Oh.
in terms of politics and funding.
Mm.
Um, but it was a pair of basically Michelson interferometers, optical interferometers that were looking at right angles to each other. Um, and it was a scanning instrument, very much like Hipparcos and very much like Gaia. So this was a precursor to those. Um, and so it would scan across the sky and measure angles between stars just continuously
Mhm.
and all over the sky, the scanning pattern. And I got to do a little bit of dynamics modeling for figuring out the orbit stuff and getting the scanning pattern to cover the whole sky in a reasonable amount of time. And you can build a coordinate system that way. And then once you've got that coordinate system down to microarc seconds in terms of positions, or actually angles between stars, then you can start doing just unbelievable amounts of science, including general relativity. Um,
Jackpot.
Yeah, so that was an absolute blast. That was where I learned that I like working on instruments,
Mm,
instrumentation. It is really fun,
mm,
modeling them especially.
mm.
Um, so during like the second half of my time there, I had a friend at the Naval Observatory who kept trying to get me to go there. And then finally, when our funding ran out, and just priorities changed at NASA, we all had to find jobs. And hey, James, that job is still available? Yep. When can you show up?
Nice.
Yeah. So I got very lucky on that. So then I spent 13 years in the Naval Observatory in DC, USNO, and then I worked on an instrumentation project there as well. It wasn't my main job; it was a side job. Just as a favor for another group who knew I liked such things. I worked with them part time and did my actual work part time most of the time, and it was a blast. And a position opened up out at the Naval Observatory in Flagstaff. And my boss at the time, he walked into my office one day and said, "Hey, Mark, I noticed you like working on instrumentation. You're happy when you're doing that. It's really obvious." Okay, where are you going with this? Uh, so there's an opening in Flagstaff. Would you be, yes,
Immediately. Yeah.
yes. I mean, there was the fastest yes that has ever occurred in the history
Mhm.
of yeses. Um, so we moved out to Flagstaff. Stacy already knew she loves the Southwest, even though she's an East Coast girl. My wife, for people listening. Um, so I could say yes, but even so, I said yes, and then said, "Well, maybe I better talk to Stacy first." um, so I did, and it's like, party time at home that night.
Another
Um,
fastest yes ever.
yeah, pretty much. Um, So that's how I wound up in Flagstaff. So that was my astronomical career. It's kind
Yeah.
of just a crazy, um, just odd little random events that occur that wind up being crucial, but you don't know that they're crucial at the time. Like, who knows? Finding Saturn in this rickety
Yeah.
little telescope was so important to
Wow,
my
that's
life.
pretty profound.
Nobody could have predicted that.
Hmm.
Um, and getting this notion in my head of, yeah, I'm going to put off declaring a major, for, a while. If I don't have to make a decision now, I'm not going to make a decision now, no matter what my parents say, no matter what my teachers say, and no matter how quizzically my classmates look at me.
Hmm.
I'm just going to take my time and learn stuff. And that was good.
Love that.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, for all I knew, that could have been a disastrous plan. It just was
Right.
what I was going to do.
Mhm.
Um, and then on a lark going to Australia, that was another one of the best things
Yeah.
ever. I took my telescope with me, by the way. So
Incredible stars
back of
there.
my back of my bike, on top of my panniers, next to my sleeping bag, was my
Awesome.
telescope.
Really cool. Yeah, what I love about this story is that it really is a winding path of sort of stumbling toward the
Yeah, it
next
was stumbling.
checkpoint. You
It
know,
was
yeah.
absolutely a stumble at every juncture, because I was so naive and did not have adults in my life who knew how to do this,
Mm,
who knew the ropes of academia.
hmm.
Um, I mean, it just was not my environment. Um, so yeah, everything was basically a, not necessarily a mistake, but just a random chance.
Yeah.
At least it felt random. Now, I was guided, of course, by who I am, which is curious about everything, just like you. Um, so
Yeah.
that kind of is what's behind all of
Mm,
these funny decision points in your life.
yeah.
It's like, well, what are you going to yourself kind of lean towards? What direction when this choice comes up, whatever the choice is, and that is influenced very strongly by just who you are as a person and what you're
Yeah.
interested in. And so it seems random, and maybe it is mostly random, but it's guided randomness.
Yeah, and what you did a lot was you trusted your gut and you trusted who you were, and I think a lot of people could,
Yeah,
do that in their life.
that is very
Definitely.
nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I've seen this in generations of students, that I have had, that it is. I have never understood this. I don't understand this, but it is very nerve-wracking for many students to think that way, to think, well, I am interested in this. I because there's so much pressure, especially now. I mean, 20 years ago it was very different, although it was still high pressure back then as
Right.
well. But when I was going through school, high school and college, um, the only pressure was get a job. I don't care
Mhm.
what kind of job, just get a job.
Yeah.
Choose a cheaper school. Can't you go to a cheaper school?
Yeah.
Those were the pressures back then, and it wasn't anything like it is now. So it is very difficult for a pressured student, and I think sadly most students feel very pressured by external
Yeah.
influences to do this, do that. You have to do this in order to succeed.
Right.
Otherwise, you'll die, is the
Yeah.
implication, right? And it just is that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And when you're panicked, you don't think well. Um,
That is
it's
a
just
very good truism to like take
and
away.
when you're stressed, you don't think well. It is just a fact of the way our brains worked. Um, it's the way our brains work. Nothing you can do about it. At least that seems to be the case. That may not be entirely true. Probably isn't. Um, the psychologists and sociologists would probably have a lot to say about that.
I think
So you
it's,
should listen to them.
yeah, it's probably different for many different people, but I think
Yeah, and it
it's
depends on who
very,
you are.
I think it's
Um,
wise to say, like really, calm down, try your best to sort of like
Yeah.
calm the
And
storm. And then,
also, so two big questions to kind of ask yourself when you're just alone and, thinking about the world. Um, One is, am I feeling stressed about something? What is it that I'm so stressed about? Um, I mean, just a lot of times just identifying it kind of solves the problem.
does
Like,
help.
oh, it's this.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can do this then, or
Hmm.
whatever. The other one, and the more important one probably is, I think it's more important, is are you miserable? Are you
Yeah.
unhappy? Um, when you look around and you have a friend, let's say, or a classmate who is just joyous at doing whatever it is you're doing in class,
Hmm.
calculus or physics or whatever it is, biology, chemistry. I mean, there are such people. I don't get it, but they exist.
Everybody,
They
raise your flag high.
chemists unite.
Hmm.
Um, I have nothing against chemistry. It just I find it very messy.
Hmm.
Um, but you see your peers, and some of them you'll see are just really happy learning. And if that's not you, figure out why that is. It might be really hard to figure that out because you're in the middle of all of that, and it's very
Yeah.
hard to pop your head up and take a look around and say, "Oh, I see what's going on."
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, that is a life skill that you develop eventually, and you really, when you need it most, you don't have it, which is unfortunate, but there it is.
Hmm.
But yeah, ask yourself, are you unhappy? Are you miserable doing the things that people are telling you you have to
Yeah.
do? Then you should reconsider things, including even pushing back against the pressures. I see a lot of this, parental pressures to excel because and this is nothing against these parents. They are petrified for you because they care about you. You're their kid. Um, and they are just absolutely petrified for you. And so, and they see a view of the world, especially the academic world, that is maybe not complete, let's say. Um, and so they pressure their kids to excel at school or activities or sports or whatever it is. You have to be the best. Otherwise, you will be failed. You will be a failure in life, is
Either the
the
best or
constant mess.
failure.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
anytime you're faced, here's another lesson. Anytime you're faced with a dichotomy, a dual choice, a black and white, yeah, the real world is not like that. It isn't. It is a continuum. So
Hmm.
when somebody presents you with a black and white situation, that is very highly likely false. It's called false dichotomy.
A good thing to
It's the
keep in mind.
logical,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Very
logical
good point.
look up the logical fallacy, false dichotomy. Uh, it's a
Wow.
really big one, and parents suffer from that mightily. They don't know they suffer from it, but what they see is a black and white thing. Either your kid is a star or they're nobody. There's no in between,
Wow.
and that's the fallacy. Um,
Hmm.
anyway, so yeah, ask yourself, are you miserable? And a lot of students are that I see. Um, and it's very sad. And some parents are better at handling this than others. Helicopter parents are the worst, because they 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 never leave their kids alone. They never let their kids breathe, and that never let their kids explore and find out what they like. They might be good at something, but they may not like it either.
Yeah, that's also
So,
an important thing to keep in mind. Even though you're good at something,
yeah,
doesn't mean you have to like it.
like I had a student one year, one summer, who was an athlete. He was really good at it. I mean, you could just tell.
Mhm.
Um, coming out of high school, he just, had all the jackets and the letters, and he was good at it, and he enjoyed it. But his father pressured him, unbelievably pressured him, and made his life miserable. And it was just really sad. It was probably, there were two, actually three saddest cases I've ever encountered, and he was one of them.
Mhm.
It just, and I knew there's nothing I can do about it except, try and encourage him best I could, even
Yeah.
though this stuff that we were doing was not for him. It just wasn't. It was a mismatch.
Hmm.
It wasn't that he was unable to do it. He was really good when he put his head to it, but it just was not interesting to him. And, if you're in that situation, then look around, find something that is interesting, even if
Yeah.
it doesn't pay $1 million
Yeah,
later
it'll
on.
pay dividends for your bodily
Yeah,
health, your happiness. It's like
yes,
so
your
much.
health and your happiness matter more than anything. Um, that I'm pretty sure is true. So it's never you're never too young to start paying attention to that
Mhm.
and seeing if this path, whatever it is just making you miserable. Okay, well, is there another adjacent path or adjacent path that would be so much better? Check into it.
Yeah.
Check into things and try a few things out. That's what college is for, is trying things out, to see if you like it. And, if you have some talent in this, the talent is almost an afterthought. Talent is basically skill, and anybody can learn any skill and
Yeah,
get really good at it.
you can work
Um,
hard at, whatever it might be, and I think everybody
yeah.
can really,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, you can get really good at anything if you put your head to it.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter what your native talents are. I mean, it does matter some, um, but
Kind of
not as much as you
influences.
think.
Yeah, but not.
Um, Now,
Mhm.
if you're very, very lucky, then you will have stumbled probably on a path that you're really good at this and you really love this, and therefore you work really hard at this and you develop the skills necessary to achieve an artistic level, whatever it
Mhm.
is,
Yep.
math, science,
Artistry.
sociology, art, sculpture, anything.
Yeah.
Any subject has a level at which those people, they are just doing pure artistry. It is wonderful to watch
So
them.
beautiful. Yeah,
Uh,
it really is
Now
so.
those are the rare people. Those are what we call the geniuses, I suppose.
Yeah, but
And chances are very, very, very good you're not them.
right.
Um, so just accept that fact. You will never
Mhm.
be them, but oh lordy, they are just delightful to watch because it is
Yeah.
just art. It is an art form, what they do.
And also sort of kind of
Yes.
following along at that in that general path is never a bad thing, and it's never like you don't have to feel embarrassed for going after what you really like to do.
Yeah, and that's part of the stress thing. They feel embarrassed to say, "Well, I like doing this over
Yeah.
here," whether it's, you know, weaving or astronomy or sociology or anything, riding bikes
Mhm.
competitively, whatever it is, don't be embarrassed about it. It's what you like. It's who you are. So don't be embarrassed about who you are.
Yeah.
And you kind of make that connection of like, this is who I am, and you don't need to be embarrassed about who you are. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably where a lot of the stress that, well, at least speaking from experience, a lot of the stress that I felt in the college years and the later high school years is very existential. Like
yeah,
looking toward future and kind of feeling like,
it
who am
does
I?
feel like that.
And it's, and it's I think that's very relatable for a lot of students. And the thing about sort of like tracking back what you're stressed about, it might lead you toward I'm just denying who I am. And
Yeah,
that's pretty important. And that's going to
it
really
is
factor into
important.
existential stress. Like
And,
that's,
what
yeah,
led you to denying who you are? Well, some kind of external pressure, undoubtedly.
yeah.
Because think about, a 4 or 5-year-old. They have no such worries. None. None.
They're so carefree.
They
Yeah.
follow their nose. They ask questions. They're curious
Mhm.
about everything. And try to be that.
Yeah. Like it doesn't matter. It's so interesting. For anybody listening, I've been working with kids a lot recently, and the interesting thing is like regardless of different personalities, they're all they're all so curious about and when you
Yeah.
do something they like it. Like they're gonna show their
Yeah.
enthusiasm for it. It's so cool.
And their friends or their classmates or whatever are gonna join in.
Yeah.
Nobody is ever, their peers are never gonna say, "Oh, that's embarrassing,"
Yeah.
or
It's
"Why are you doing that? That's silly." They would never say that. It would never occur to them.
yeah. And I think that a childlike sense of wonder is an
Yes.
amazing asset to have when in the sciences because
Hmm.
it
In
like
life.
in life, yeah, it's if you want to be somebody who like asks questions for a living or any sort of career that you have, you just want to be able to like be somebody who's like intuitive about their own being and like, oh,
Yeah.
this is what my soul is talking about to me. So let me go after it, and I'm gonna be so much more productive. I'm gonna be so much happier. I'm gonna be so much healthier. Like it just
Yes. Happier and
yeah
healthier. Those are the big ones.
yeah yeah.
If you're happier, you are healthier.
Hmm.
And that's, there's a synergy there. Which goes back to don't stay up till 5 a.m. studying. Bad, bad.
Yeah, no, don't do
When
that.
you are in the zone, remember to drink water
And
and
eat.
have a snack nearby, a healthy snack.
Yeah, have a friend check up on you.
Yes,
It's always
that's
good.
not a bad idea,
Yeah.
actually. And if you know you are prone to this, then it's not a bad idea to just, text a friend and say, "Hey, can you check on me if you're still awake at 10?
Yeah.
Just make sure I'm still alive."
Hmm.
Um, and they'll do it for you.
Yeah.
They might laugh at you, but that's fine.
Yeah, I mean one thing that I mean I've forgotten this is that we can rely on each other and build a sense of community in order to reach
Yes.
our goals and to
And
be
that is one of the best things about college and well, just school.
yeah.
One of the best things about school, period, is the community, the community that you have amongst your peers, yet the camaraderie that you have. Um,
Yeah.
Man, that is unique to school. You don't get that anywhere else. You get things that are similar, but it is different. Um, so in school, yeah, depend on your friends.
Mhm.
And it will depend on you. And you like doing things for your friends, right? Everybody likes helping their friends. Well,
Yeah.
they like helping you too. It goes both ways, and that camaraderie is just priceless. It is the best. You will always remember this, and
Yeah.
it will always be a source of, yeah, I loved that. That was really good. I feel good. Today's a good day,
Yeah.
even when you're 65.
And in throughout your life, in these moments where you have your own version of your friend saying, "Let's go to Australia for 3 months,"
Yeah.
um,
I mean, that
follow
was
your gut.
particularly outlandish, but
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Try to notice those moments, I guess. Just like
Yeah.
see when they come by and be like, "Wait, this is kind of precious. Like let's tap on that and enlarge
Yeah.
it."
And that actually that is also important in that this sort of serendipitous aspect of
Making your own
life.
luck. Yeah.
Yeah, making your own luck. That's very good. I like that. Making your own luck.
Mhm.
So this camaraderie, your fellow classmates, even if you're mad at them, they're still your friends. Um, this is a source of, if you pay attention, they have different ideas and come up with things that, a lot of times we just kind of ignore it because it's out there and it's not what we're doing.
Mhm.
That should be
Yeah.
a little flashing light, a little flashing green light saying, hey, pay attention to this.
And that's like what the club is all about too, is like
Yes,
collaboration
that's
across
what Alien
class.
Club is about, is
Yeah.
exactly that. You have a diverse set of students with,
Mhm.
different interests. Listen to what everybody's saying. Somebody's talking, listen to what they're saying. It's different from the way you think.
Yeah, and we often have disagreements during discussions, and it's the best thing ever
Yeah,
because that's how we grow. Like that's it's the best way.
and that's also how your mind latches on. Like your friend says something, and it's just kind of, orthogonal to the conversation somehow.
Mhm.
Um, Look at that and say, "Oh, that's interesting. What made you say that?" Ask that. This is not what I was thinking of. What made you think of that? And then you'll think of something off key from that. If you hadn't thought about that, you never would have had this thought, and that just cascades. And that is the serendipity source. That
Yeah.
is the source of all serendipity, or making your own luck. Is exactly that, is cross fertilization with other minds,
Yeah,
basically.
very important. And also, it's sort of there is a mindset, like instead of because I've done this before, instead of being like, oh, I'm so stupid that I didn't think of that, and then like kind of getting like mad or jealous or whatever, it's so much happier and so much more effective to embrace the idea and just be happy that you're talking with somebody that is also interested in
Yeah, it doesn't
something.
matter that you didn't think of it first. I
Exactly.
mean, who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah.
Um,
Because then you guys are collaborating.
if you're both entered in a contest and there's some kind of prize you're both vying for, then yeah, you care then if they
Right.
beat you or not. But really, is that important? No, it's not.
Definitely not important
No.
when you're trying to like come up with solutions or just ask questions and just have a discussion. It's great to kind of recognize, wait, okay, everybody in this room is different and we have different ways of
Hmm.
looking at things. And something that I never would have thought of is like sitting right there. So let me
Yep.
grab that. Like that's really cool. Like this is a resource. This is a treasure
And
trove.
your friend probably, maybe didn't think of this thing either, but she said something that sparked something in your mind. Say, oh,
Mhm.
that's interesting. And then one of you then had this thought
Mhm.
that winds up being golden. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, that's a good idea. We should work on this.
Yeah.
You, that is serendipity. That
Mhm.
is making your own luck. That is cross
Yeah.
fertilization of
Yeah. And
ideas.
science is just a dead end road without collaboration. So it's very important, I
It
think.
can be. Yeah, there's this sort of romantic, I guess, I don't know why, image of the lone scientist solving some important fundamental problem and that leads to the Nobel Prize. Now, that does happen.
Yes, but where do you go from
Um,
there?
but
You
look
know?
at these people. Look at who wins the prizes. Um, well, maybe Nobel is not. Well, it depends. Look who the winners, so to speak, are. Are they happy? Are they really happy? Chances are, yeah, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
If they've given in to this constant pressure we all have of, oh, you have to win the prize. Oh, you can't show any weakness. You can't show any lack of knowledge. You have to solve the problem first before anybody else. All of that is, um, those are logical fallacies and they don't help you at all. Even if you win, you're not happy at having
Yeah.
won.
It's
It,
just
it
yeah.
didn't, it's empty. It's the process of winning that is the valuable part. Whether
Mhm.
you win or not, I mean, your little league coach is correct. It doesn't matter if you won or lost. It's how you played the game. It really is true.
And it's an interesting, I think that especially in like the United States and everything, there's like a really intense mentality of yeah, it's like this whole consumerism capitalism thing
Hmm.
where it's just win or lose, and it's
Yeah.
there's really nothing we can do about it like as individuals ourselves like right
Yeah.
now in this
This is our
moment.
society right now. Just be
Yes.
aware that these are the pressures you're gonna have.
Yes.
And also, though, be aware that what they are telling you is not the whole world.
Hmm.
There is a vast world out there that they know nothing about. And yeah, money, you need money because, gotta eat, gotta have a roof.
Hmm.
You need things in life, and in our society, that means you do need to generate income somehow.
Hmm.
Um, whether the thing that generates income for you is your passion, if you're lucky enough, or not. Um, the money part of it is not a contest. It's just, what do you need? Like, I need enough money to afford, you know, uh, like a telescope, let's say, and a camera that I want in order to be able to do this thing that makes me happy. Okay, that's a goal. I can work towards that. And I know that I'm going to be happy doing this thing, learning these things because I have this tool that I have to buy.
Yeah.
Um, that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is sort of the more societal pressure thing of, oh, you're nobody unless you've got a lot of money. Well, why is that? Where does that come from? Why are you nobody if you don't have a lot of money or a lot of toys or, whatever it is, whatever consumer thingy it is? Um,
Yeah.
if you don't have that, well, why does that make you a loser? You never wanted it in the first place, right?
Yeah. And
That's just
also,
not,
just as the nation's in dark times and things are
yeah,
scary, and I think it's important to take the sort of like progressive scientific mentality of there is always more to learn because regimes will tear you down
yeah,
and
they come
stop
and go.
you by having blacks and whites. Like
Yes.
that is a fundamental way that
That is
structures
the
of power.
autocratic world
Yes.
that is their core value is to impose a black and white mentality on the populace.
Mhm.
You look back through history, every autocratic dictator type, um, that is fundamental to that is their fundamental goal is to instill that into society into their societies because it gets them what they think they want. Um, so instill fear and instill black and white choices on everything. Now, the real world is not black and white. It just isn't. So they are, you know, they're full of shit.
Yeah, and I mean, a closed mind is an unhappy mind, at least in my
Yes,
opinion. I think it's,
I have never seen a closed-minded person. Let me think. Well, there are various levels and incarnations of closed-mindedness,
yeah,
but when you're in a closed-minded uh, moment, you're not happy. You aren't. And so you're right. A closed-minded person, when they're in the act of being closed-minded, is not a happy person. Mostly they're angry.
yeah.
Uh,
And if you can kind of like, if you can say, okay, this thing, for some reason, I feel very threatened by it, which is totally natural,
oh yeah.
take a step back and be like, huh, like, why? And then like, maybe I can
Now
like,
there may be a why. So yeah.
I'm
I
sure.
mean, if you feel threatened by something, don't just toss it off. Look at it and figure out if the threat is real or
And with your
not.
trusted people, if you want to, like,
Yeah,
share.
and that's the value of having an inquisitive mind is you can find out if this threat, whatever it is real or not, or you know, if it's different from the way it's being presented. It's being presented as a black and white. Do this or you'll die. Get this A or you'll be a wash up the entire rest of your life. You'll be miserable if you don't get this A. I
And
mean,
that's,
sad to say, there are young people who are getting that message 24/7. and it's a very awful thing. Um, but there are some threats out there that will harm you, so you do need to be aware that you should think about it and
Right.
say, can this harm me? How so? Follow
Yeah.
up on it. How so? And oh, here are the mechanisms that could wind up biting me in the butt down the line. Um, okay, so can I do mostly what I want to do, yet do some things that will prevent this from biting me in the butt later?
Yeah, and
Um,
observing those like biting in the butt traits of whatever you're looking at is
yeah,
not being closed-minded. It's exploring the subject and being
yes,
rational about it. So
yes. Now
totally.
you may decide that, oh, yeah, this is really important and I need to focus all my attention on this so
Right.
I don't, fall off a cliff somehow.
Yeah, there are always
Um,
those
like
things.
ignore your biology class because you love physics so much.
Yeah.
That threat is real.
Hmm.
You get a
Very
D or
real.
an F on your report card, and boy, your grade average never recovers
Yeah,
to what it could have been. But anyway, so yeah,
the
and
balancing act, like you said.
yeah, it's a balancing act. It's an observing act. Observe is
Mm.
the most important thing among all the other most important things. I keep saying
I
there are
think you
many
said it like
important
five
things in
times,
life
and I love it.
about different things.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I mean, I think we've gotten to a lot of truisms today. We've gotten a lot of
yeah.
awesome sound bites, and I think
Oh, look at
this
that.
is I know, I just looked and I was like, this is a very productive conversation though, because I think it's
Yeah,
interesting how one question led to a
an
lot of
hour and a
discourse
half.
on education, which is important,
Yeah.
especially considering this club. So I really appreciate you, Mark, and I think this was great. And I think you were
Well, I'm
able
happy to
to
do this.
I'm so glad that you're here. It really just it's such a privilege. And I think you did answer what do you enjoy most question, which is just asking questions and following your nose. And I think that's just who we
Yeah, that
are.
is what I enjoy
Yeah.
most is being curious,
Yeah. And I think we could
being
all use
proactively
that.
curious.
Proactively curious. Perfect. Everybody just strive to
When you're
be.
in the act of doing that, you are happy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's just the way it is.
You get
And
excited.
you
Yeah.
might also be, in the zone, and hopefully your friend will call you
Check up on you. Yes.
at 11:30 and say, "Hey, have you eaten dinner yet?"
Yeah. Again, remember to eat, remember to drink water, remember to sleep. Important things. Thank you so much, Mark. I hope you
Well,
have
you're
a great
welcome.
night.
This is always fun.
So fun. For those of you listening, thank you for tuning in. Keep an eye out for another episode. And I hope everybody has a great night.
Good
All right. Bye, Mark.
night.
Good night.